I was drawn to holistic approach and diet and nutrition. And I realized that small changes made a big difference. And I wanted to learn more and more about it. Eventually, after 15 years in corporate world, I decided that's where my passion lives. And I want to help other people to find the same answers, but a lot quicker and easier than what it took me.
Welcome to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast with your hosts, Charlie Cameron and Alex Schlow. This is your go-to show for cutting-edge insights from industry leaders in residential assisted living. Whether you're ready to launch your own assisted living business or looking to invest in this fast-growing, high-impact sector, we are here to equip you with the tools, strategies, and confidence you need to succeed. Get ready to ride the silver tsunami and change the future of senior care. Now on to today's show.
Welcome back to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Cameron, and today's episode is a little bit different, but incredibly important for the future of assisted living. So we're joined today by Marina Sky, who's a certified functional medicine practitioner, which I'm not even sure what that means, and she's going to explain all of that to us. Former corporate background turned holistic wellness expert. So this is going to be a very interesting and different episode, but so important for folks who are opening these homes to be considering how to improve the longevity and the well-being of residents through functional medicine and lifestyle change. We're really going to explore how holistic care is transforming senior living. And with that, Marina, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your life prior to this, and then we could talk about how you got into holistic health.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I basically changed my careers because I was having a lot of health issues myself that I wasn't getting the answers through traditional medicine. I tried those multiple avenues. I had a lot of digestive issues, a lot of skin issues, chronic issues that I realized also later were partially autoimmune conditions. But in the process, I was drawn to holistic approach and diet and nutrition. And I realized that small changes made a big difference. And I wanted to learn more and more about it. Eventually, after 15 years in corporate world, I decided that's where my passion lives. And I want to help other people to find the same answers, but a lot quicker and easier than what it took me. And of course, that was before everything was up on the internet. So it took me probably 20 years to figure out and reverse my conditions. But I wanted to do the same for others in a much quicker and easier way. So I re-entered basically once I lost my job at one point, and I didn't want to continue with corporate. I re-enrolled and got in education and certifications and I discovered functional medicine, nutrition and functional medicine at that time. It was just an emerging field of alternative medicine. It's becoming more and more popular, but basically it is evidence-based, science-based alternative medicine field, and it takes into account the whole person. It doesn't look at things individually as body parts, and looks at everything, your lifestyle, your diet, your everything in your life that contributes to your health and wellness. It gives the results a lot quicker, but with the long-term sustainable results, and also without side effects of medications that a lot of people in traditional medicine resort to. So
I love that. It's so easy these days to just be like, oh, there's a pill for that. Take the pill. And it's now there's probably a different solution that might be better. In some cases, yes. Okay, some allergy meds. That might be helpful.
Even then.
Okay, then maybe you have a solution for me for seasonal allergies. We'll get to that. But it is so easy to just say, oh, there's a pill for that. Instead of, oh, no, maybe you need more sleep. Maybe you need more exercise. Maybe you just need sunlight.
Exactly. Or
maybe
sleep or
nutrition.
Body. The body is amazing, and it has so many, it wants to be well. And there are so many things that it could do to repair itself if you give it the right conditions and the right resources. And it's usually not a deficiency in allergy medication. It's other things.
Marina, can you give our listeners just a common example of something that forever traditional medicine that we've been told to do this or take that pill or whatever, when in reality, more holistic alternative solution tends to work really well that maybe the listeners haven't heard of, or just in your experience, what are some common shifts people can make?
Like I mentioned, it's about the lifestyle and nutrition. It's not just one thing. It's a whole person that you have to look at. But in case of my mom, who was diagnosed with Crohn's later in life, as I was going actually through the transition from corporate to functional medicine world, I knew enough at that time, but it was about 15 years ago, to know that it could be diet related. She got hospitalized and they actually wanted to do surgery, as a lot of Crohn's patients go through, where they take out part of the colon that's damaged. But I actually changed her diet drastically. I removed things that I found out and it's all labs based, found out what foods were contributing to her inflammation of the gut lining. And I removed those foods. I gave her some herbs and supplements to heal her gut. And within 3 months, she was back to normal. She did not do the surgery.
Wow.
At that age, so she was in her early 70s back then. At that age, a surgery is not a simple procedure. There are a lot of complications and healing and side effects. So it was a risk from the healthcare provider's perspective at that time. So they really tried to convince us to do surgery, but I figured it's not going to hurt to try a holistic approach. And if it doesn't work, we could always try the surgery. But it's been great ever since. She had no major relapses. It's still a maintenance with the diet and lifestyle. You always have to stay on top of it. It's not fix it and forget it, but it is amazing how well it worked.
That's awesome. That's a good case study right there.
And that alone was worth my whole transition challenges.
So what led you to start working with assisted living communities?
So when my clients asked me to help her, she was working. So I helped her with her health issues. And she was working at a assisted living facility. And she said so many of our residents have similar problems. And I help them just change some of it doesn't even require that many changes. And if the assisted living owner or facilitator is open-minded, and it is an adjustment, and it takes some effort and knowledge on how to do it, but once you do it, it becomes a habit. It's a healthy habit, and it's just so much better for everyone. Not only the residents are happier and healthier, but it also makes the facility more business savvy. The word spread.
I mean, this is probably a crappy example, but if I walked in and I saw my grandmother being fed Kraft macaroni and cheese and hot dogs, I'd probably be pretty upset, right? When they could be eating much healthier, better food for them, which would probably reduce health issues, especially at that age.
Exactly.
The most common. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no. She said that she probably hasn't seen a fresh vegetable or fruit in that facility in years. So that's not an acceptable diet for seniors.
No. What are the most common chronic health issues in the senior population in these facilities?
Well, there are so many, and we could probably have a whole series of podcasts just on that. But to give you the few examples, a lot of inflammation and osteopenia. People are having difficulty chewing, or they just lose appetite. So a lot of seniors lose muscle, and that leads to accidents and falls, and then hospitalizations. So that alone is worth improving. The other common issues are, of course, cardiovascular issues. That's number one, blood pressure, but also pain. A lot of seniors have muscular pain or inability to sit or walk. They have problems with sleep because of it, or just having sleep issues, and that affects their mood. And who wants to take care of a grumpy or depressed or unhappy person? So it actually becomes a hostile, not hostile, but it becomes a difficult environment for caretakers too, because if someone is not well and they're moody and they're irritable or they're in pain all the time, you probably know yourself, if you're uncomfortable or in pain, you are not fun to be around. So one thing leads to another, and just by fixing some inflammation and pain, maybe improves their sleep, and that improves their mood, and that improves everything else, other people around them. So it's a
If they're
share.
happier, the caregivers are happier, the rest of the residents are happier.
Exactly.
It's a positive cycle or a negative cycle. It works both ways.
Yes.
So for residential assisted living operators specifically, what are some simple, practical ways they can begin to create a healthier environment for residents?
It's besides diet is number one, right? And that's a big topic that probably difficult to address in 5 minutes, but having plenty of protein, making sure that residents are hydrated, because at that age, that's really important. And a lot of residents don't like to drink water, or they don't like to go to the bathroom too often, but having healthy hydration and is really important. Having plenty of protein choices that are easy to chew and digest. Also, access to sun and outside activities. That's also really important. I actually have a list on my website. It's a little like a self checklist of what things that residents could do, or not residents, but the owners to check if they're doing everything they could. Some of those things are providing hydration stations and protein, and also, sorry, I'm trying to find it.
That's okay. We'll add the link to the website to this show so that folks can go look at that full list.
But other things, other common problems would be digestive issues, and that's where functional medicine shines, as I mentioned before with my mom. So the functional medicine, a big belief in functional medicine is a lot of disease, especially long-term, it starts in the gut. So by healing the gut, and that's easy also with foods, a lot of healing broths and senior-friendly meals could be improving their gut issues, and that improves their constipation or diarrhea or other digestive discomforts. And also, in turn, it reduces inflammation and all the other chronic disease.
It works for everyone at every age. Protein is a big one.
Yes.
Prebiotics, all that kind of stuff. That's a big one.
Yes.
And it's interesting
Fiber.
because I learned this from a program that I used to do, but things that are super good for one person are not necessarily super good for the other person in terms of meals and what you eat and what's considered a superfood, quote unquote. Each person's biome is different. And so therefore, what works for one isn't necessarily what works for another. And you have to be careful with that with all your residents, right? Someone might have issues with a certain type of food. It can't just be blanket meals for everyone.
Absolutely. Yes. Personalization is big. And that's the beauty of the residential assisted living facilities that have small groups of relatively small groups of people, that they could actually make it personalized. So there, in functional medicine, there are some labs that you could do. There are simple labs that you could do on site that will help figure out which foods are beneficial or should be avoided for that particular person. And it's definitely a huge factor in improvements.
I've done one of those tests and it was wild to see the results. And it's just
Yes.
like, oh, wow. Okay. So I need more of this, less of that. Luckily, I love broccoli. I know I'm weird. Luckily, that was one of my superfoods. So I was like, oh, whew, okay. And raspberries. So I was like, all right. So spot on. I like those.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just had a client who had a lot of green tea, matcha green tea, which you think is great. But when you have histamine intolerance, it actually is problematic. So when you have too much histamine in your body, you start getting bloated, and she had skin rashes and things like that. And that's something that medicine cannot fix necessarily. Or you could suppress your immune system, or you could just take out high histamine producing foods. Same thing actually related to your allergies. It could be you overloading on some high histamine foods that are creating the allergy response in the body. And then, so
Wow.
some little
Interesting.
things like that, just avoiding
Yeah.
the green tea, which everybody thinks is great, but it's
Not necessarily for everyone.
not for
Right?
everyone.
Now, one thing that is true for everyone is that most people aren't getting enough protein. I actually learned this recently. I'm doing this fitness challenge with friends. It's just a way for friends to get fit together. And I was trying to put on muscle, and it just wasn't happening for 2 years. I just stayed the same weight, couldn't gain any muscle. And they're like, how much protein do you eat a day? I'm like, I have no idea. Started tracking it finally through this program. And like day one, missed my protein goal because there was like, oh no, you need to be getting above 160 grams of protein. That's to the person who doesn't know, that's a lot of protein if you're not planning it throughout the day.
Yeah.
And so most people are not getting nearly enough protein in their diet.
Yeah,
Should be about
especially
80%.
seniors.
Take 80% of your body weight, put a gram at the end of that's about where you should be. And most people don't get that. And so it is kind of wild. And as soon as I started taking it, I gained a bunch of muscle, which was awesome. I'm like, yes, woohoo. But most people don't get enough protein, and seniors especially, they don't eat very much, which makes it even harder. Sorry to interrupt this episode, but let's be honest. Most real estate investing right now, it's either buy a fourplex or try Airbnb and hope for the best.
We're not here for that.
We're here to show you what we believe is the most overlooked high cash flow real estate strategy in the game right now. You guessed it, residential assisted living. It's literally the one place in real estate where you can net 6 figures on a single home and feel like a decent human being at the same time. You're helping sweet old ladies eat pancakes and play bingo and live longer through better care. You tell me what's better than that.
So we're hosting a free live webinar called How You Can Create Financial Freedom with Residential Assisted Living. No fluff, just value. And it's happening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 Mountain Time. No excuses. It's online. Put on sweatpants. We won't judge.
We'll break down why residential assisted living is the best opportunity right now, the 5 steps to take down your first home, and how to set up a business that makes a real impact and real money.
Spots are limited, so don't be that person who DMs us in 3 months saying, wait, is it too late to start?
So hit up theralroom.com/webinar and register now.
Be the hero your grandma already thinks that you are.
We'll see you there. Pancakes not included.
And then that's sarcopenia is a big, which is muscle loss, is a big problem because it causes falls and broken bones and all that associated with that. But it's not difficult to fix. And another thing about protein, you can't have too much in one sitting. You have to have throughout a little bit throughout the day.
It's not, it doesn't make sense to have 50 grams at once. You
no.
Yeah. Yep.
Your body will just
That's
turn
how
it
you
into
spread out.
carb.
Love that. Sorry, I'm on a fitness journey, so I love that. Now you're speaking my language. So what about physical activity? What do you recommend for seniors? What's realistic in terms of like physical therapy and physical activity? What do you see that works pretty well?
I'm not I'm not a specialist on physical therapy. It's more of a nutrition, but it is part of the whole body and the whole wellness. I find the stretching on a regular basis is extremely important, especially for seniors. Tai Chi, like gentle movements, but daily or even a couple times a day. Being out in nature, having that tree that's far away to look at and to focus on, not just being inside the 4 walls, is extremely important. Having even speaking of microbiome, you could pick up all this microbiome just being out in nature. So if you have access to some trails, walking trails, or a body of water, it's just so important for daily exposure to outdoors. And even just walking, and
There's a really great set of 2 assisted living homes near me. Fantastic owners. They just did a fantastic job. The residents are super happy. I've gone to see it a couple times, and they have this cool, like, they just made they call it the racetrack, but it's just a sidewalk that goes in a big oval with a big garden in the middle that they can all participate in. But the residents are out there walking, the ones that can, every day, and the ones that can't are being pushed in a wheelchair every day. Just get some sunlight, get outside. Most of us aren't getting enough of that either.
Exactly.
We all need that.
Some places, they install those elevated gardening beds where you don't have to hunch over or be on your knees, but you could still do a little bit of gardening, and that exposure to soil and just touching things and grounding yourself, if you know about grounding, it's also so therapeutic.
Love that. Love that. We were just talking about that like on another call. So when you work directly with assisted living residents or with the owner on behalf of the residents, what does that look like? Do you usually work with the owner and come in and help with each resident, or do you work directly with the residents and their families? What does that usually look like?
Both. Yes. So of course the owners have to be open-minded, because it's the bottom line is the expense and the change in habits is up to them, and they have to cover the costs, obviously. But some residents actually want a personalized approach too. It's up to the facility to encourage that, because it is beneficial for the business. The happier the residents, the better the business. But if they have that budget, they could certainly, and a lot of my services are covered by flexible spending accounts. So that helps. That is part of their care. So they do, like you said, everybody's challenges and superfoods and diet requirements are different. But at the same time, it's not difficult to make things, if you use basic ingredients and less processed foods, and you could make meals, simple meals. If someone doesn't agree with if broccoli doesn't agree with you, or it's your superfood, you could have more of that. You could self-serve or ask for a higher amount of broccoli or less broccoli, or same thing like I mentioned with the green tea. So there are simple substitutes that you could give people as an option. And if you have a small enough and personalized enough attention and ability, you could have a record for every resident. And as long as you mark the meals or have some kind of system that keeps track of what's good for this or what's best to avoid for this person, it shouldn't be that difficult. It's just having a couple different options.
This idea just popped in my head that every care plan, every unique resident care plan should also have a nutrition plan or a wellness plan with it. It's not just care from hey, they need to be turned for bed sores or they need these meds, but it's a full wellness plan, and it needs to incorporate how many times are they going out a day? What is their, what nutritional things should they be getting? How many grams of protein are we going to feed them today? What foods are we going to avoid? I love that so much. And
also it's going to help not having those issues or hospitalizations. It is an investment at first, but in the long run, it just makes things so much better for the residents and in turn for the business, because less hospitalization, you have less turnover, and it's also less liability. You have families that are happier because their loved ones are more energetic and happier, and they don't have pains or complaints.
you're serving the residents better, which is in turn is serving the families better, which is also, and by serving the residents better, you're also serving your staff better because their jobs will be better, easier. I mean, it's a win. They live longer. Everybody's happy.
But you get better reviews. You get also, yes, you also stand out. You could.
That's it. That's it right there.
If you think of yourself, whenever you go to, for example, to a big event, first thing you tell someone afterwards is how great the food was. If the food is bad, or of course entertainment or whatever other things are important too, but if you go to a big event and the food is bad, it ruins your whole experience. And it's a social thing too. We love to share meals with other people. It's just such an integral part of our life.
Think of it like you said, you could set yourself apart. If someone goes and tours a home that doesn't care, and then they come and tour your home, and you invite them for lunch with the residents, and the lunch was actually delicious and nutritious, and you sit down with them and say, hey, here's our care and wellness plan. Mom or dad is going to get to go outside this many times a day. We're going to do this with them. We're going to do that with them. Tell us about their dietary restrictions. And we're bringing in a wellness expert, Marina, to further help with health and wellness from a holistic standpoint. And that other home just didn't care. Guess what? Guess where that resident's going to move into? Guess where the families are going to want that their mom or dad? You're going to win that every time.
I think actually, like for me, like my parents, they're in the 80s and they still live at home, but they're healthy and I'm happy about that. But if I had to shop for a place for them, that would be my number one priority, is what quality food are they going to be exposed to? Or are they going to be just kind of like, here, eat these canned peas every day? So it's really it's for families too, because when you find a place that you trust to take care of your loved ones, you want the best care and something that will help improve their health, not reduce it.
I totally agree. I love it. And I think for all our listeners out there who are starting their own homes, they really need to be paying attention here, because if they truly care, which is the people we're looking to partner with, right, about their residents' longevity, they should be thinking about this from the start. How can we best care for our residents? And this is definitely one way to get a head start on that.
And it's also keeps you stand out of the competition. It's what people say about your care in reviews and feedback.
It's another way to set yourself apart from the bigger facilities as well. We're really into that more community care. It feels like a home. And this is just one way to make it feel like home. If mom and dad were living at home with you, they would be getting home cooked meals every day, and they would be pretty healthy, hopefully. Some of us maybe not, but hopefully. But they go to these big facilities, they get cafeteria food. It's like no better than what they're feeding the kids at elementary school.
So no, that's
just not good.
A whole other can of worms with the elementary school.
Yeah. Let me finish with one analogy here, and then we can wrap it up. We can let folks know how they can work with you on their homes. But you know what? Our kids, guilty. We used to buy Lucky Charms and Frosted Flakes, and they would sit down and they'd eat 2 bowls of those in the morning, just shove them down. And wow, lo and behold, a lot of times they were cranky in the morning after that. My mom, I'm going to have to tell her, I shouted out to her on this episode. My mom, the kids went to stay with her for a couple of weeks over the summer, and she was feeding them the cereal. And when I got there, I was like, what is that? She said, it's called 3 Wishes. And I tried it. I'm like, this is actually really good. It's chickpea protein based cereal. It's only got like 6 ingredients. I was like, holy smokes, they'll eat this? Great. And so that's all I buy now. And they eat it. And guess what? They only eat 1 bowl because it's protein. So it sits there and they're pretty happy afterwards. And I'm like, wow, if you just eliminate the crappy stuff and give them the good stuff, it's amazing what happens. Right. And so I totally get why this is so important for seniors.
Or another example is like, instead of giving them juice that's mostly sugar, you could create hydrating liquids with a little like lemon juice, like fresh lemon juice, and add a couple frozen berries or mint leaves. And it's a nice way to add vitamin C without sugar makes them want to drink, both teenagers and kids and seniors too. So you could
We do smoothies.
flops
Add
like
protein in
that.
it. We do smoothies, add the protein in. They don't know it's there. They drink it down. They love it with fruit and everything. And
Just fruit infused. It doesn't have to be a major thing. You just throw a couple frozen berries in there into the container, and it's sitting there in some hydration stations throughout the facility.
That's a great idea.
And they could even have different flavors in different locations, and then encourages them to walk to different places. And the other residents say, "Oh, did you try this flavor in this corner today?"
That's awesome. That's a great idea.
Make a game out of it.
All right, Marina, this has been awesome. This has been very insightful. I hope folks are ready and chomping at the bit to reach out and incorporate this into their homes. And if they'd like to reach out to you to bring holistic wellness services to their homes, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, you could go on my website. It's healnj.com. I still have a Heal Wellness Center in New Jersey, but we can also do this remotely. Of course, if you're in the area, I'll be happy to drive and do it in person. But under services, you could find the assisted living wellness tab page.
That's healnj.com, HEALNJ.com. Marina, this has been awesome. Looking forward to bringing you on to help us with our homes that we're developing as well. So we'll be in touch with that. And we got to have you on the mastermind to talk about health and wellness as well.
Thank you so much. I hope it encouraged other RAL owners and facilitators to improve the health and wellness for their residents.
It surely will. Thank you so much for your time, Marina. This has been awesome.
Thank you again, Charlie.
Thank you for tuning in to the RAL Room Assisted Living Podcast. We hope you found today's episode insightful. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave us a raving 5-star review. And a quick review helps more listeners find the show and more seniors get the exceptional care they deserve.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And just so you know, we have prepared some free resources for you to help you succeed in residential assisted living in addition to this podcast. Head over to theralroom.com, that is the RAL room.com, to download our free 10-step guide to launch your first or next residential assisted living home, or our 10 reasons to passively invest in residential assisted living ebooks.
And if you're ready to take the next step and make real moves in the RAL industry, join us in the RAL Room Mastermind. It is an exclusive community where we deep dive into everything you need to launch and grow your own residential assisted living business. You'll get access to recorded courses, live calls with industry experts, a RAL calculator, resources and tools, like-minded entrepreneurs, funding opportunities, and an expert networking community to help you along your journey. Be sure to join us next time on the RAL Room Podcast as we continue to explore the world of residential assisted living with more great guests. See you then.